Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson, your host, speaking at you from Sunday, September 21st, 2025 in the space and time continuum. There currently is a solar eclipse happening, and something that you may not know. Our moon is exactly the perfect size and distance between the sun and Earth that when there is a solar eclipse, the moon becomes the exact same size as the sun from our vantage point when it eclipses the sun. And that's why it looks so incredible when you're actually in the path of it. We see the solar flares and everything because the moon blots out the actual sun, and we can see what the sun has around it that we normally can't see because the sun itself is too bright. The moon is the exact perfect size and distance between the Earth and sun so that it is the same size as the sun from our vantage point, because of course the sun is so much further away and so much larger, and the moon blocks it out. It's very anomalous. Also, the moon, when it is orbiting the Earth, it also is spinning at the exact right speed so that we always see the same side of the moon. We can't see the moon spinning. We always see the same side. There are no other moons in our solar system or any that we observe anywhere that act in this way, that have these principles. Just the Earth's moon. All right, that's the main thing I wanted to tell you this week. We do need to think about other things other than Donald Trump and his BS. So that's something. All right. I would like to point out, though, that the changes that are going on and the shifts that are happening this week are not going in the direction that Donald Trump or the Project 2025 people would like for them to be going. Their distractions are not working. Their distractions are making everything worse. Here's a story that just came out either yesterday or today, I think yesterday. Carol Leonnig, a great reporter. She's an investigative reporter for the Washington Post. Her and her colleague Ken Delanian broke a story that before the Trump administration came in, Tom Homan, who is now, what is he? He's the guy who's telling ICE to go in. You know, he's at war with AOC all the time. The story broke that he was being bribed. He was accepting bribes for offering things in the Trump administration because he was anticipating being in the Trump administration. He met with FBI agents who were working undercover as business people, meeting with Tom Homan, offering him bribes that he accepted. Most people would be being arrested right now and would be going on trial and be going to jail. But the FBI, under Kash Patel and Donald Trump, stopped this investigation. Carol Leonnig broke this story. Thank you to Carol Leonnig for being an actual journalist in this day and age. Wow. We've become so calloused that doesn't seem like a big story, but that is a huge story. A member of the presidential cabinet was found in a FBI investigation to be accepting bribes. You think Trump's even going to fire him? No, probably not. Among other stories, I am going to give you updates on what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, because we're not hearing it in the Western media whatsoever, not just the now completely corrupt United States corporate media. And I got to say, man, I'm having more and more trouble tuning in with MSNBC even. It's useless, waste of time. They're talking about what, the Trump administration hopes they will be talking about, spending too much time on the Charlie Kirk thing. Charlie Kirk was not a good person. Now that is turning. So last week, even if you used Charlie Kirk's own words in media, you were fired. It happened. MSNBC fired somebody. I talked about it last week. Matthew Dowd. Fired him for just saying, hey, hate will bring hate back, something like that. I mean, it wasn't even oh my God. Anyway, so Congress actually set aside a day, I think it was the 14th, as Charlie Kirk Day or some BS. And they had a moment of silence on the House floor, and Trump told everybody to have their flags at half-mast. You don't do that for somebody like this, especially somebody like this. And AOC, of course, went on the House floor after, by the way, she tweeted, "Who's the illegal now, Tom Homan?" Because Tom Homan really has it in for AOC. It's gross because it seems like he's got a crush on her. He thinks she's super hot, but he looks basically, his head is a big chunk of spam. And of course, AOC is not reciprocating any being attracted to him. So he's like a little boy, just like all of them are. And he's picking on her because he's got a crush on her. He calls her stupid. Anyway, now getting back to the Charlie Kirk thing, AOC went on the House floor and said this was not a good person. He said this and that. And other people, also Jasmine Crockett was on a show, I think this morning or yesterday, and she was talking about how horrible Charlie Kirk was. He was a horrible person. No, I'm my own boss, so I can't fire. I mean, I could fire myself, but I'm not going to because I said Charlie Kirk's a horrible person. Now, like I said last week, of course, it's horrible that he got shot. I don't think anybody deserves to have such a violent demise as that. But that was supposed to be a big distraction, and it was supposed to turn MAGA against the left and maybe start the Civil War. That's what the people on the other side were thinking. I think that's what they were thinking. And instead, it's just a big feces show. I mean, it's hurting Kash Patel because he is just showing how stupid he is, by making the announcement, we got the guy, we got him. And then it's like, oh, I guess we don't got him. It took him, I don't know, a couple days to get him. And it's looking more and more like it's not him. This guy, Taylor Robinson, it's looking more and more like he is the Lee Harvey Oswald of this particular incident. I just hope he doesn't end up dead over this. But it's amazing how there are these guys who are like sharpshooters. They're really into guns. Some of them are truly experts and have worked in the military as sharpshooters, and they know a lot about this stuff. And those guys, if you go and find them on YouTube and stuff, I'm sure there are some Democrats who are sharpshooters in the military, but these guys don't look like those guys. These guys look very MAGAt. They look very, like they would hate me, like they'd beat me up in the grocery store parking lot. And they are saying that they're not believing this story at all. First of all, a 30-06 round, they would demonstrate, at 200 yards, that piece of ammo, they have these test like heads, that they use to figure out what's going to happen if a bullet goes through somebody's head. Anyway, I've seen multiple videos where these guys shoot a 30-06, the same ammo that supposedly was used here, and it just blows the whole thing up. It's a very, very powerful round. It's kind of like Donald Trump getting hit in the ear with a powerful round, and he doesn't even have an injury. It's BS. It's complete BS. And these guys are criticizing the FBI. They are saying the FBI is lying to us. And there's proof the FBI is lying to us because they're giving out contradictory stories left and right. And some of the stories are just absolutely unbelievable. These guys talk about, he's going to assemble the gun. He walks in with it assembled in his pants. Okay, that's impossible. And they demonstrate all of this. It's kind of funny, actually. And then he disassembles it, but then he assembles it again, and then he disassembles it. And then before he leaves it in the middle of the woods, he decides to assemble it again. And this whole time, he's on the run for his life. He changes clothes 3 or 4 times or something stupid. He supposedly disassembled the gun and made it to the other side of this building's roof in like 6 seconds, including changing his clothes for the 2nd or 3rd time. Just, it's way out of hand. They did a better job of it in 1963. And of course, there weren't cell phones in 1963 with everybody having a camera. There was one piece of film that existed, and it was kept away from the public for 13 years, 12 years, I think. Anyway, in this, they can't keep their stories together. Nobody believes anything the FBI is talking about this. And of course, the one question is, where is that round that supposedly killed Charlie Kirk? And there was no exit wound. I mean, these guys blew up these heads. They're talking about really gross stuff. Like if that really happened with that round, the wall behind Charlie Kirk would have been, I'm not going to keep going, but I mean, it was like there wasn't blood on the stage, and really, really weird. And it just looks like they staged this thing and they just did such a poor job of it. Now, I do believe Charlie Kirk died. I do believe he was hit with a nasty piece of ammo. I saw a video of that. He can't fake that. But it's just so weird and nobody's buying it. Nobody is buying it. It's turning MAGA more against Trump and Kash Patel and people like that. So the Charlie Kirk incident did not go the way they hoped it would. And yes, I'm saying the way they hoped it would. And yes, I'm insinuating that it was done on purpose with their knowledge or consent. Do I have to say for entertainment purposes only? I don't know. I mean, I don't know that everybody's talking about this. They have their own channels. These ammo guys are talking about this. It's pretty incredible. Also, the Jimmy Kimmel thing. I think Trump thinks that's a great thing, and the right thinks that's great. Oh, he was such a bad guy. Even though they're saying Charlie Kirk, they're basically making him to Jesus Christ at this point. But Jimmy Kimmel is the bad guy because he jokes about how absurd and ludicrous Donald Trump is. And for one of the least offensive, even if you're Donald Trump, things that Jimmy Kimmel ever said on his show is why ABC fired him, or Disney, I guess, fired him. I saw somebody said, and I don't know this at all, but somebody said Disney lost like $3.6 billion since they fired Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know if that's true. I've heard about a lot of people canceling their streaming of Disney Plus and Hulu, I guess, that Disney also owns. And I don't know if they've lost that much money. I don't know if this is going to, I don't know how they're going to be affected in that way. But the whole world is basically saying, including people like Tucker Carlson, is saying this goes against the First Amendment and this is wrong. And they're talking against Trump. They're using the name Trump. Trump is wrong for doing this, for threatening these things. They think it was wrong for Disney to fire Jimmy Kimmel. Of course, they're in the same business. So that is not going the way that the Project 2025 people wanted it to, including, what's his name? I can't remember what his name is. I think his first name is Chad, of course, but the FCC guy that Trump put in there, who's talking like a mobster. Well, we could do this the easy way. Or we could do this the hard way, okay? All right? Disney, okay? Mickey Mouse, huh? That's what he said in a podcast. And 5 hours later, there was a meeting. And 20 minutes after that, Disney decided to, I guess, suspend Jimmy Kimmel indefinitely. All this does is props up Jimmy Kimmel. He's talked about as a hero to everybody. And everybody's just criticizing then the Trump administration. So none of this stuff is going the way they were hoping it would go. And what about also a ruling came in that Fani Willis can no longer head up the trial going on against the people in the 2020 election mess, or was it? Yeah, it was that. Wow. That's been going on a long time. Fani Willis was heading up the prosecutions of multiple people and a RICO case in how the whole Trump administration was fighting against the 2020 election results. But now, kind of because that has been pending for now years, Fani Willis now, she's not allowed to head it up anymore. But it's no longer in court. So somebody else can pick it up and start it up again. That case could very well be brought back to life. I think it's a bad thing that Fani Willis wouldn't be heading it up, but with somebody else heading it up, at least it's no longer stuck in limbo in court. What if somebody else does pick it up and that whole thing starts rolling again? Is that what the Trump administration or the Project 2025 people wanted to have happen? So they're making all the wrong moves. And I'm not finished with that reporting yet. We've got more, and including what's going on the other side of the world with Ukraine and Russia, because it's pretty amazing stuff. But let's take a short break. You're listening to A Satellite View. We'll be right back. And we're back. Visit our website, satelliteviewpodcast.com, and sign up to be on our mailer, and find us on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search for Satellite View Podcast. You'll find our YouTube channel and then subscribe to it. It's free, and it helps get the word out. We had a couple clips go kind of big over the last week, so it's looking better and better. Hopefully we'll spread the word to more people, get an even larger community going on here, where we're all here to support each other and help each other get through this craziness, this chaos. That is the purpose of Donald Trump, because that's what Vladimir Putin wants. Let's get back into some things here that I think Trump is doing that is not going to turn out the way he wanted it to. He's trying to change the H-1B visa, work visa, again. Elon Musk used the H-1B work visa to come into the United States and start working on all the crap that he worked on. Of course, then he stayed longer than his visa. He is an illegal alien and should be deported. But that's how he came in. I think the cost is less than $1,000, and usually a lot of companies will pay that fee to bring in talent from other countries, to bring in really, smart people that will help their business. The United States economy relies on immigrants, largely. Immigrants to do things that Americans don't want to do, like pick fruit in a hot California summer and fall. But also a lot of people who they can't find an American as smart as this person, so they bring this person in. Trump wants to raise the price to something like over $100,000. It's just absolutely insane and stupid. He, I guess, wants, oh, I only want white guys born here to be working. I don't want anyone else to take our jobs. I can't do that voice anymore without coughing. Investors don't like this. The tech bros don't like this. Elon Musk doesn't like this. The tech guys, like all those guys who came and had a meeting with Trump, all the gross tech billionaires, as the Facebook owner is being blocked from my mind, which I don't mind his name being blocked from my mind. But them kind of trying to join MAGA, it didn't work out. MAGA hates those guys, but they became MAGA for a while. And now Trump is doing this and they don't like it because they rely on this H-1B work visa to keep going. They need people from other countries to come and work for them. So a really, really dumb, stupid, idiotic move by Donald Trump that's going to piss off Elon Musk, who is going to be probably, I think, found out. By the way, the Rockland County, New York hearings begin tomorrow, the 22nd of September. A lot of other states and counties are watching that. Probably what's going to happen is there will be a hand recount, and which, there was in Rockland County, but it'll probably spread to other places. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I've talked about it quite a lot on past shows. But there are people in Rockland County who report that they voted for Kamala Harris in a polling place where there was 0 votes for Kamala Harris. A lot of people voted for Kamala Harris and their votes weren't counted. They stood there and watched their ballot go through the machine, but it was not counted. Was it maybe even flipped to Donald Trump? Because another person they voted for, who was running for the Senate in New York, she ended up getting like 79% of the vote in Rockland County. Kamala Harris got 0% of the vote. 2 women Democratic candidates. One of them gets 79% of the vote. The other one gets 0% of the vote. Okay. Doesn't sound like anything weird happened there, Elon. A little bit of overreach using your Starlink to change the votes in the machine. Elon Musk knows he did that. Elon Musk probably does not want to spend the rest of his life in prison. How pissed off does Trump want to make Elon Musk? Elon Musk maybe make a deal with Kamala Harris? Hey, I'll tell you what I did with the Starlink. If you don't throw me in prison. How do you think investors in these companies are going to feel about Donald Trump doing this? It's just a stupid move. Talking about stupid moves, an accidental text. He writes to Pam Bondi and says, hey, you're not prosecuting these people quick enough. People that there's no evidence that they did any wrong, and he wants the DOJ to go in and prosecute these people. He keeps saying Joe Biden did this, and Joe Biden didn't do this. He keeps saying that he doesn't talk to the DOJ, but he accidentally, it was meant to be a text, apparently, but he put it out on his Truth Social BS social media, and it looks like a text to Pam Bondi. Hey, Pam, how come you're not doing this quick enough? It looks like he meant it to be a private text. So he's revealing himself here, not only as a liar, which he does thousands of times a day, but it's not going well, okay? It is not going well for Donald Trump and the Project 2025 people. Thomas Massey, for instance, he is extremely conservative. He and I would not be able to stay in a room together for 2 minutes, probably. But he's taking the side of the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. He's trying to get the Epstein files released. I think he will be successful. He keeps on it and keeps on it. He's criticizing the Trump administration for doing a lot of things now. He's not turning back. He's not turning back. The turn against Trump is pretty far down the road at this point. The CDC did not do the things they said they were going to do and cut people off from vaccinations. They basically instead ignored RFK Jr., their boss, and kind of kept things mostly just how they are with vaccines. Your insurance will still pay for a COVID vaccine. You do not need a prescription to get a COVID vaccine. These are the things the CDC voted on this week. And everybody was really nervous about it, and it turned out virtually no changes were made. But of course, already on both coasts, multiple states are putting together kind of their own CDC. I think this is the way of the future. I think we're getting less federalized and more state. Minnesota's doing great under the leadership of Peggy Flanagan and Tim Walz, our lieutenant governor and our governor, Tim Walz. Our jobs report is going up. Our economy's doing great. We're feeding kids food for free in schools. We're doing good things here in Minnesota, and we can afford to do it, and our economy is strong. Why should we be brought down by Trump's BS? That's what a lot of states are lining up and talking about. Sort of like a secession. Not militarily like happened in the Civil War in the 1800s, but like, hey, if you're taking the federal government in this direction, you're going to try and cut us off from taking care of our people. We're not going to listen to you. We're going to get our own systems in place. Seems like that is happening. I also wanted to point out that Donald Trump plays a role here. Him saying, grab them by the you-know-what, talking about women, that led to the Me Too movement, which empowered women quite a lot. And now here we are with the Epstein survivors possibly making their own list and releasing it somehow. They're gaining power. We're not finished hearing from them. The Epstein files are going to come out some way or another. And I just hope Trump is still alive to see it, because it's also looking like he could cack at any moment. So let's move on now. I think I finished that list. I want to tell you about Russia is lying, trying to lie to their own people, but their own people are not buying it. They just approved a budget for 2026, and it resulted in people taking all their money out of the banks, or all that they were allowed to take out of their banks. The Russian GDP at the beginning of the invasion in 2022, February of 2022, the Russian GDP was 4.3%. Now it is 1%. Their economy is in the tank. They keep lying about these successes. One general sent some saboteurs, they were soldiers, he had them in plain clothes going into these Ukrainian towns and raising the Russian flag, taking a video or a picture of the flag being in this Ukrainian town. And then the Ukrainian military just was like, oh, I recognize where that is. And they sent drones in and killed the guys. So the Russians lost dozens of soldiers, and that general who sent them in there, or I think it was a general, but their commander, let's say, trying to lie about a victory, ended up killing his own people. So they're doing things like that. They're trying to lie about victories, and it is not going well. I have a long list here. You got to keep in mind, the budget of Russia is the same size as the budget of Texas. Although Russia's landmass makes it the largest country in the world, its size does not help it. It hurts it. It hinders it. Its physical size, without being able to have a more robust economy, is a huge hindrance. Already, people can't afford the normal amenities to survive, and this is coming into the winter of Russia. Not looking good for the Russian people. Ukraine blew up all 16 major railway nodes they finished blowing them up this past week. They started this in the beginning of August. They also have blown up, I don't have the exact number, but it was more than 14 of their major fuel refineries. You can't get fuel right now in Moscow. They're out of gas. People are waiting in line perpetually at this point. Also, Ukraine found where a place where Russia was hiding its ammo, and they blew up 500 tons of ammo 2 days ago. Okay, the fuel and gas crisis is incredible. There are places where you cannot get fuel. There are people trying to publish. There are people hunting for where to get fuel and like trying to talk about it online. But there's, even if they lead people to the fuel, there's not going to be enough. I'm talking about an incredibly bad situation that Russia is in and Vladimir Putin is in. And it's believed that Vladimir Putin is being lied to as well. He just keeps sending guys into the fodder. He makes them cannon fodder, however that goes. I don't know how that I guess they're the cannon fodder, right? But they also struck pretty much all the training camps, at least in the western part of Russia. Ukraine struck them. There were thousands of Russian guys killed, trainees. They have had well over 1 million Russian soldiers die in this war. They're talking about possibility of 1.2 to 1.3 million Russian soldiers, Russian young men, and now boys and old men too. The Belarusians, if you remember, Belarus was on the side of Russia, and they were giving troops to fight in Ukraine against Ukraine. Now they have turned against Russia, and they are highly trained. They were modifying their ammo and doing things like, hey, if we put this certain thing in our ammo, we shoot it into the forest here where these guys are hiding, the whole place lights on fire. They're not even trying to shoot the guys, but they light basically where the guys are on fire. Also, Brazilian troops they arrived in Ukraine for the side of Ukraine, and they encircled a town called Pogrovsky and killed or took prisoners of all the Russian soldiers in that town. Brazilian troops. You know how many a Brazilian is? That's an old joke. Big Russian offensive was canceled because there are basically no generals left. The FSB, which is basically Putin's intelligence, the FSB has arrested 16 of their own generals, Russian generals, since, I guess, 2020, a little bit before the war. That's because there's betrayal at the top. Putin and the Kremlin is scared right now. Russians surrender, I think yesterday actually, Russians surrender in Donetsk. There were 7 Ukrainian towns freed from Russian occupation in one day, which I think was yesterday. And there's also sabotage from within Russia. There are people in Russia risking their lives and starting routing boxes for railroads on fire so the railroads get blocked up. And they're also blowing up ways to deliver fuel. These are just people inside of Russia sabotaging against Putin, basically. The people have turned on Putin as well. And a really big deal, President Zelensky did a speech where he said, right now we have developed the most sophisticated, updated military in the world. And if you want to help us, we will help you back. But if you don't, stay the fuck out of our way. And you know he's talking to Donald Trump when he says that. He didn't say it exactly like that. No, he said, insinuated very much that, hey, if you don't want to help us, just keep in mind that you're cutting yourself off from our, what is now, extremely strong military. They have been developing weapons in Ukraine, getting a lot of money and support to do this from all over the world. And they have been, their war planning and everything has just been top notch, really kicked in starting on the 2nd of August. And they have pretty much brought Russia to its knees. They cannot get ammo to their soldiers because all the railway nodes were cut off. They can't move anything around. They can't deliver anything anywhere in Russia. They can't export fuel, which is the main part of their economy in the past. They don't even have enough fuel for themselves. They certainly don't have enough fuel to run this war. Their air defense is all but shut down. Trump tried to sabotage that by lifting a sanction on Belarus, thinking because Belarus was not allowed to buy airplane parts. Now Belarus can buy airplane parts, and I think Trump thinks that they're going to give those to Russia. Trump is working for Russia. I think that's going to be part of what brings him down here. Soon, I think. But anyway, this is what's actually going on as opposed to what you're hearing is going on if you rely on the corrupt corporate media of the United States. I hope that gives you a little bit better lay of the land. I hope it makes you feel a little better. I think it's great news. I think when, last week I mentioned, or the week before I mentioned the head of Kazakhstan, I believe it was, stated, he didn't allude to, he said that he knows that Putin has a significant amount of compromise on Donald Trump. If Putin goes down, you think he's going to let Donald Trump stay? You know, Donald Trump is making more and more enemies. Pam Bondi, is he going to fire Pam Bondi? I'm sure he pissed her off with that stupid mistake he made this week. Anyway, we've run out of time again. I want to thank you so much for being here with me. Let's stick together, keep each other sane through this chaotic dying of the darkness on planet Earth. We will see better days. Soon, we will see better days. This is coming to a head. They are in their final throes. Putin, Netanyahu, and Donald Trump. I didn't even talk about Netanyahu and his issues he's got going on. But he's doing the same thing, lashing out like an animal cornered. That's what Trump is doing. That's what Putin is doing. So again, thank you so much for listening. You stick with me, I'll stick with you. Let's keep together, keep each other sane. Remember to take a deep breath and feel it. Concentrate on your deep breath. Get outside, walk under the trees, look at the stars. Take care of yourself. Let's enjoy our own lives. He cannot stop us from doing that. Do not give him that kind of power. He doesn't have that kind of power. Let's not let him have it. All right? So again, thank you so much for listening. We'll speak at you next week.
You've been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mikkelson. Go to toddmikkelson.com for links and more information.